Hello and welcome back to Living the Tao.
Hi, I'm Master Mikel Steenrod.
And I'm Morgan. Thank you for joining us on this walk today. Today we're going to be discussing the Taoist utopia. Many spiritualities have an idea that the world should be different and that it should be better, it could be better, and if you follow us, then it'll lead in that direction. Is that a thing with Taoism? And if it is, or if it isn't, what would be a perfect Taoist world?
Okay, so in order to really, if I wanted to provide context for this conversation, depending on a person's background, one of the first things that we have to deal with is the role of the Tao Te Ching within Daoism as within history, and also the rise of Confucianism within China in general, but also within Daoism as we move towards the sectarian period. So if you were to put a rough timetable on the whole thing, the sectarian period starts around somewhere around 400 to 500 CE or AD.
Okay.
Roughly. Depends on what markers you use, when, stuff like that. And so that's where we really start to see the integration of Confucianism and also Buddhism into Taoism. That's what the sects are. They're a combination of those religions.
Yes.
So prior to that, somewhere within the Warring States period, so within the Zhou Empire as it started to fall apart, broke into individual kingdoms, we have the emergence of the written Tao Te Ching. And the written Tao Te Ching was not uniquely created at that time. It didn't create Taoism. All the prior existing roots, even the word for Tao, and I believe Daoism, existed prior to that. The Tao Te is a symbolic reference to a symbolic structure that pre-exists all of that by probably a couple thousand years.
Wow.
So
okay.
The references and material are there. The West perception was created largely by what was translated and then became popular.
Right.
And so part of actually the focus of of Confucianism, if you take it at its word, rather than the way it was actually employed, was to create a fair and just society that had minimal warfare in it. That was it. And by itself, that is a noble thought.
Absolutely.
However,
how do you get there?
The means by which it was used in reality did the exact opposite of that the vast majority of times. And
such an old story, isn't it?
It is. And you have to ask yourself, what is the assessment of a religion or a spirituality, particularly if it's socially oriented? And with the classic conflict between Taoism and Confucianism, there's absolutely no doubt that the sole function of Confucianism is social. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the structuring of society.
Right.
It's a particular map to it. So it provided an excellent foil for Taoists to work against. Because Confucianism had to also deal with all these super talented people essentially flipping the middle finger, which in the US is an insult. We have 60 or 30 to 40%, 50% of our listening population. Would not understand the middle finger.
Do you think? I don't know. I think the middle finger has become pretty universal, but
I don't know. Yeah, maybe the double finger. So it is an insult. So and a way of dismissing another individual rolled into one. So it's a nice colloquial indicator of how you feel. And I like that definition.
I love it.
Yeah. And
giving you modern, current culture lessons as well as ancient ones.
But so there's no doubt that that's it, and it provides an interesting foil. But here is the ultimate assessment of any religion, in particular any social religion, which is, what do the people actually do?
Yeah, what do they wind up doing? How are they living?
Not what they've stated, not any of these things, because for the Taoists, that's all surface. It's irrelevant. It can be changed 1,000 different ways. It's what you actually do.
Okay.
And so what Confucianism actually does is a strong means of suppression. It supports a very rigid order.
Yeah, very hierarchical, very classist.
Yeah, and there's no doubts about that. If you look at people who go, well, you know, that's not what Confucius, you're absolutely correct. That's not what Confucius wanted necessarily. He wanted to order, justice, where the top cared for the bottom and the bottom cared for the top. No doubt about it. That is not what has been handed down. So that's not the way it's implemented. It's not the way it's used. And that, if you're going to judge something, is how you should actually judge it.
How is it implemented? How is it expressed? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what Daoism deals with. Daoism as a whole is not a social religion. It's not designed to generate social rules. However,
I bought flashcards. I'm doing a bit more than me. Yeah.
so we really are outside, not on an AI stage.
It's not a blue screen?
Yep, it's not a blue screen. And but as I've oftentimes said to people, the whole nature of Taoism is that Taoism focuses initially on personal liberation. That's what you're really setting out to do. And so the assistance of the teacher or the priest in those areas is to provide that core element. Everything else develops outward from there.
How is that not a social
It's not
agenda?
that it won't have social impact, it's that there's no desire to design society so that it does that.
Got
because
it. Perfect.
it's impossible. And people can argue that whatever way they want, and you're all entitled to going through that process of examining that. Perhaps you will reach a different conclusion. However, the conclusion of the last 3,000 years is that it's impossible, which is something that, of course, you should know. And
we had a video
However,
of that, and we didn't post it.
yeah. And so if we sit back and we look at, well, where does Taoism focus then? Taoist focuses on developing the Taoist individual and then trust that person to make decisions that are good.
Yeah. You give someone the tools, but you don't command them to use the tools in that way.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So it's entirely up to them as to how they decide to use that. However, if you trust that your spirituality is grounded in, let's say, the true,
Yes.
to use the old terminology,
Oh.
then you don't have to go out there and constantly monitor and tell people how to live their lives. You shouldn't have to at any point.
But that's not even your thing, right? I mean,
Well, it's not the thing because Taoism chose to not do that. So now we'll draw it all around.
okay.
It is impossible to not draw certain conclusions, but at the same time, actions are not dictated. And so it becomes a matter of like, well, you can see it, I can see it. Do I really need to say anything else? But this is the way it looks right here, right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we're saying back and saying, looking at religions and going, well, what's it actually doing? Anybody can look at it,
Okay, yeah.
make their own judgments with regards to it. They don't need to have that dictated to them.
But if you don't have a rule book, you're not checking off, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. So How could you even, why would you even do that?
I don't know what you're saying. So most utopic models have a rule book, right?
Yes.
That's a fair statement. Most utopic models have a rule book. If Daoism essentially says there isn't a rule book, go do it and let it come out of who you are, what does that say about Daoist utopia?
That we don't know what it would turn out to be.
In part, yeah. It also says a variety of other things. One, we're going to trust people to move into a given direction. Two, as you were saying, and as popped up even in that circumstance, nobody's had the conversation yet as to what it should be. Not in a fashion which is open and stable across the board.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And because the individuals, I don't know why. Oh, this is a big one. Simply because there's not a rule book or there's not a checklist, you can't have that conversation because there's no predetermined goal in mind.
What if you haven't even reached the point of where it is possible to set a goal yet?
Because we're just too, as humans, we're just so complicated.
Or we haven't developed to that point yet.
Oh. You mean as a species?
As a species, yeah. But if you wanna sit down and ask about, well, what's the utopic component for this? The Taoist response to, for example, the Western model of science, which is mechanist, is essentially, the problem is that we can generate machines faster than we can generate understanding or internal development.
Yes.
So, as I've pointed out, the empirical method has existed within Daoism since at least the early Zhou Empire and has only gotten stronger over time. And the big difference between Taoists pursuing machinery, and some Taoists did pursue a mechanist approach, and Taoists choosing to not pursue machinery, is the realization that that tech could outstrip the ability of humans to handle it very easily. And so even the vast majority of Taoist internal tech, so internal technology, internal development, exists at a layer that most people can't really approach, because they won't understand it even when it pops up.
Internal tech meaning the what does that mean, internal tech?
Taoist adept training, so ways
of
developing and modifying yourself. So in general with Taoism, your purpose is to be here, and Taoism's purpose is to give you more capability to actually be here and live within your life.
Yeah.
Not remove you from living in your life.
And not,
or remove people from living in their lives.
and not to push you into a little box so that you are living your life for something else.
Right. And so the focus for development for Taoism has been to deal with human problems, but also internal human development and internal controls. And I think it'd be a pretty easy argument to make that in our mechanist society right now, most people don't understand the machines around them and don't have a good relationship with them. Like, the machine defines them, they should define the machine. And so those are some areas of contemplation in there, but let's roll it back around to dealing with a utopia. So roughly during this warring states period, the timelines are jumbled by a few centuries here and there, but anytime you roll the clock back a couple thousand years, you're going to, who cares about a century here or there? And with the Tao Te Ching, we do have basic ideas of what favored governance would be, Because if you really take, let's say we take the story of Lao Tzu and we take it in a straightforward fashion.
Yeah.
This is a guy who served in government
Yeah.
for a long period of time, which means he was educated. He is part of the scholar class.
Oh yeah.
If you take the legend as being truth, he was recognized by the gate guard as he was riding out to the west.
Right.
So for somebody to recognize somebody riding out to the west,
Oh, you're right.
he had to have also been known. And so he was likely a speaker. Most people don't realize that one of the standard classical philosophical pursuits with the Tao Te Ching and prior to the Tao Te Ching was we have a large crowd of people coming.
Yeah. We might have to hang out, like when we had the helicopter visit us.
Yeah.
We peel off here a little bit. This is a public park.
Only a $6 It's only $2 bill. Thank you.
So Flagstaff is at 7,000 feet. It's high altitude training. And so a lot of people here run for the additional challenge to oxygen debt. Now let's roll back to that earlier part of the conversation there.
Yeah, Lao Tzu on his way out.
So Lao Tzu's on his way out. Random guard recognizes him and basically says, "Hey, Master Old Man, can you write down some of the stuff that you knew before you head out?"
Yeah. He knew he wasn't going to come back.
And so one of the things that people don't realize the context in which this occurred, and for many centuries, probably before and after, is that the discussion of Daoism was a drinking tradition. Very specifically, you would get together some jugs of wine and water. You'd mix them in different ways. And you would get various tasty treats. The equivalent, I would say, of tapas in the Southwest here. And you would sit around getting drunk, eating snacks, and discussing the Tao.
Yes.
Perhaps debating with your fellow scholars more oriented towards Confucianism. So these were not unique ideas put to paper. However, you're probably dealing with a guy who is well known for, his time spent within those events.
Yeah.
Because there isn't an indicator that he was a non-philosophical, and so he probably came out of the scholar class. And all the practices were already well established by then. But you have a person that puts together a book, depending on how it's segmented, 81 to 83, and some more than that in some versions. Chapters, pretty short. You could chant it every single day in the morning if you wanted to. But essentially, this is a guy that is fed up with governance and
the way it exists.
Dealing.
Yeah.
And so he's riding out on a donkey. If you're following the classic mockery backwards, and basically doing the equivalent of flipping the double middle fingers
Oh gosh.
as he's riding out of the kingdom. That's who created the utopic concepts within the Tao Te Ching. So keep that in mind.
I love it.
And so you're dealing with this guy who's basically just completely fed up, gets stopped at the gate, the guy, you can just see him going, okay.
One more. Well, it won't take long. Here, let me just
I'll whip this out. I'll start writing these, spend a couple days at it, get entertainment, a little bit of food at the gate, different stuff like that. Because sometimes, small villages and such would pop up at a major gate. And so you could have a little time there if you wanted to.
Totally.
Maybe have some wine with the gatekeeper, and then ride on out, give him the double donkey salute, and be done with it. That's the Taoist mapping for the Taoist utopia. And that's something you always need to keep in mind.
This disgruntled guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taoism is not apolitical. It's not political. It's not apolitical. It is anti-political. Very clearly. Not necessarily the best means of governing the population.
But that wasn't the idea. That was never the idea.
That is correct. But that wasn't the question you asked.
That's true.
So if you're looking at a utopia, you're ultimately going to be dealing with issues of governance. Correct?
Right. Oh, that's true.
So this is the nutshell component of it really quickly.
Okay.
Taoism favors flat power hierarchies.
Flat power hierarchy. Okay.
Now that can't ever be completely true because humans. But if you had a perfectly flat hierarchy, what you would be talking about is literally everybody's in a net, everybody has equal prominence, everybody just kind of meets this mass communalistic decision about things.
Yeah.
Going from there. However, we do seem to need to concentrate those decisions into a handful. And while it's theoretically possible to have something flatter than that, I'm not sure what it would look like.
Yeah.
And so what we have within Taoism is essentially a favoring of flatness when it comes to power, but also concentration in certain nodes. And those nodes are largely determined by merit. Like the people in the nodes are better at doing those things than other people are.
Yeah, that stands to reason.
Which, you know, let's say I'm in a communalistic society like that.
Yeah.
I don't want, so my usual go-to guy,
Oh, no.
I don't want Joe over here communalistically doing surgery on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want that.
You want somebody to specialize in that.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it doesn't even have to be, that's a good example, but even like making bread or, you know, going out hunting. You want the people who are best at things because there's a lot of pressure,
Right.
survival pressure.
And the reality is that Taoism does favor generalism. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it also acknowledges the practical limits of generalism.
Yeah.
And and everybody can have a debate as well. What should we specialize? What should we generalize? The Taoist response to that is you absolutely should have that debate because that limit could be set anywhere. And we don't know because we haven't had the debate. So if we start looking at, just as a quick side note, if we start looking at a utopia,
Yeah.
we don't know what it is because we've not had the debate. And because from a Taoist perspective, humans have not been in a position where they're capable of having that debate yet.
That's what you meant.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just not,
So that's a callback for you right there.
yeah, perfect. we're just not developmentally on whatever level.
Right. Instead of spending the last 3,000 years across the world developing greater human capability, we decided that cars were necessary.
Yeah, we're making machines.
So, and that would be the Taoist double finger riding out of the gate commentary on that element there. It's literally like the wrong decisions were made.
Oh.
Tech wasn't necessary. Changing or developing humans to their next incarnation was necessary. And what we're bumping into now is a simulation of human development, but without humans having actually changed.
Oh my,
So-
you're right. A simulation of human development. That's exactly what we're living through.
Yeah. So if we roll it back to what's recommended, recommended is a relatively flat power structure from a strong anti-political viewpoint
Yeah.
with a focus on personal development. Because once you have people that understand themselves, let's say not doing things continuously out of pain, different stuff like that, then you start being able to make decisions about, well, what should human society be like?
Yes.
But
honestly, and
yeah,
connected to reality, not someone's internal needs.
right. And it might take a couple hundred years to work that out. The reality is that one of the reasons we're having difficulty now within our current political spectrum is that people are consistently going back to isms that have failed. And it doesn't matter what the ism is. So you can fall back to, you know, people say, well, you know, communism failed at blah, blah, blah. It is like, well, capitalism has also consistently failed. Look at the death tolls. If you look at democracy versus a non-democratic system, each one of them had advantages, but does the solution, when it's stated, ever become, well, what we should do is sit down, look at everything, and create a new approach? No, it's like, we're going to go back to this thing which has only ever worked this well. So let's say
up to this
percentile. This is the success percentile and the circumstances it works in. And we're just going to do that until we get angry at it. And we're going to throw it out, and we're going to go grab this thing over here.
Other old suit.
And the thing is the history of that failure is consistent. Absolutely. And it will just continue to cycle non-stop until we collectively sit down and make a decision about a new ism. And basically go, this has to be done in a different way than the way it has repeatedly cycled for the last however many thousands of years. With, of course, some of the modern ones not being thousands of years. But
that is a huge ask from all of humanity.
yes, it is.
So the Taoist utopia is engage and but also disengage. Disengage from what's not working and find a way that works for yourself, with keeping in mind the sustainability of all of us.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put it into a couple of sentences, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's the reason that Taoists basically say, engage in personal liberation. Everything else will take care of itself. So
yeah. All right. Well, that's what you get from exploration. You don't always reach a place.
well, you know, the reality is it is a complex set of questions, which unfortunately the answer involves discard nearly all of this here and take a look at doing this over here.
That doesn't yet exist.
Right. But somehow we muddle through.
Somehow we muddle through.